This is documenting Oceanside. It's Tuesday morning, April 13th, around 9 a.m. We're down here at Oceanside Boulevard, homeless encampment, where the OPD hot team is now helping people. It looks like get rid of trash, and there's intakes being taken. I know Vanessa Graziano had live stream here earlier talking to some of the people that were involved in the intake process. So we just came down to see what's going on. We talked to a few people, and could be a better morning for it. It's kind of drizzly this morning, so we are just in the area. They don't have the street blocked off or anything, which I thought maybe they would have, but obviously they can't just block businesses from doing the job, from commerce. So I thought if they're looking at, well, I don't know exactly what the process is here, but maybe we'll get some insight into it. But if they were looking to get trash and stuff out of here, they would have brought something bigger to facilitate that. All these photographers on. Maybe for Coast News. I know Coast News has been down here. The Reader's been down here. Maybe City of Oceanside have people down here. So we'll see. How's it going? Yeah, so are you guys looking to clear all this out today, or?
That's the hope, yes.
Today?
That's the hope.
Okay. Well, I was just commenting about, I don't know what they're loading up, but about the lack of, there's a lot of trash here that needs to be picked up, but you guys have some waste management guys that come in and help pick all that stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. I just come down to get information. I know there's a lot of people going back and forth, and maybe some people don't have the correct information, and maybe they don't follow the right sources and things like that. So there's a lot of speculation about what happens, when it happens, and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay.
So I just come down and do a little. I've talked to Rodney a couple times and a couple other residents and stuff, but it's been pretty peaceful so far. No.
I wouldn't say that. You mean today?
Yeah,
Today's been peaceful.
Right, I know there's been a lot of incidents over
yeah.
even the last weekend, right? I know there's been a lot of PD and fire department and EMT activity even over the last weekend.
Yes.
But I know a lot of people follow Pulse Point, so they see a lot of those things for the FD, and so then again, they speculate, they drive by. They do little videos as they drive by and things like that. And that's sort of kind of the one step farther that I wanted to do, was actually get out and talk to people and see, what they're doing, where they're going, their plans. But that's, I think, one of the big things that I've noticed in the people that I've spoken to, is that they don't have any plans. Right? They're not able to make those plans. Even speaking to Rodney and talking about tomorrow, I don't know. When should I come down and talk to you? Well, I don't know. I don't really have any plans. I can't tell you. Well, just pick a time. You know what I mean? It just seems like it's kind of a pervasive problem with many of them here.
Yeah.
That the ability to plan and move forward isn't there.
Well, if today they're willing to take the services that we're providing and we're offering,
Yeah.
then they can make those plans.
Yeah, and hopefully with the help of the social workers and
Right.
stuff that are involved, could get into like you said, into the hotels that you're accommodating them with, or rehab, or
Yep.
some other things like that.
Yep.
So, are you with the hot team?
No, I'm not.
Okay. All right. My name's Gary, by the
Hi,
way.
Gary.
My name's
Ryan.
Yeah, I'm a resident here, but
Okay.
I have a little YouTube channel, and I started doing this kind of stuff to help people kind of get a different perspective, maybe. Because again, see people take pictures, and you see people take videos, and like, oh, look at this horrible,
Yeah.
situation, but nobody wants to get out and say hi.
Yeah.
And
Well,
and you guys get to get out and say hi.
Yeah.
But
you get out and you said you talk to these people. I think you'll understand that they understand. I mean, they know that we're not out here to ruin their lives or whatever.
right.
They get it. Most of the people we've talked to since we've been out here, they're willing to leave. They want to leave.
Yeah.
They've got they're interested in taking the services and they want to get out of here. They get it.
They're certainly like Rodney was saying the other day. There are a lot of kind of working homeless here. Some guys that work at Home Depot or different places like that. But there's a lot of drug activity here and stuff too. A lot of people who have different problems, whether it be psychosocial or economic, or so it's a very difficult, complex group of people to deal with, even at a bureaucratic kind of governmental level, because there's so many different stories and pathways that you can take from here. But I mean, ultimately, personal responsibility, and they've probably done a pretty good job at already messing up their lives. So I mean, at this point, you would think they could only go up, right? From what you see here, bagging up their belongings into paper bags or trash bags or whatever. And hopefully they can get the help they need and get off of public property and out of the dirt. I mean, taking their crap in a tent,
They've been down there for years. They don't want to come out.
or washing up wherever they want, And that was the other thing I was talking to another guy, and it is about that kind of personal responsibility too, because we were talking about who's responsible for this. Rodney was this kind of impetus for making this, but I said, well, who's responsible for making this? He's like, well, we need somebody that's responsible to do that. I said, well, that's your job, right? That's everybody's individual responsibility. And I think they have this collective mindset, where they become this part of this neighborhood of homeless people, that they do help each other out, right? They do help each other out in the fact that they help each other either make it through the system, get to the things that they need if they find out that information, but also just daily living stuff. Where can we go to the bathroom, or where can we wash up, or who'll give us a coffee or something like that, or or organizations like Vanessa's homeless outreach or Oceanside homeless resource, things like that. But you have 50 tents all filled with broken people, and they think they have this idea about peer, I guess it's peer-to-peer help, But if 50 people are all broken and nobody has a way out, and how are they helping each other, really? Other than just pure survival. So there's no, like you said, no planning going step by step, until the homeless outreach team comes out and says, hey, well, you need an ID, or you need to go to this office, and then you need to go to this office. But obviously the resources to them being able to do those steps are limited also. So it's, like you said, it's very complicated.
It is.
Complicated
It's
system.
It's a complicated issue. It really is.
I mean, believe me, I don't have the answer.
Right.
I mean,
well, if we had the answer, I think homelessness would have been solved.
right. I mean, we
generations ago, right?
we throw so much money into this, what some people have dubbed the homeless industrial complex, right? Where you have all this money coming from, even from the federal level, being chopped up, parsed up, down to the state, and then counties and cities and municipalities. And then everybody's expected at that very minuscule bottom level to do something for these people, right? And in Oceanside,
makes it so much more addictive.
I mean, we just don't have that tax base. We don't have that those resources. And then, of course, empathy and sympathy and, you know, all those things go to the wayside. Also, when you see, you know, places like that was behind the McDonald's, and you know, and you see 4 or 5 ODs over the weekend and stuff like that. So it's a very difficult. So, I mean, me personally, and I've heard this espoused from the guys up in Seattle, where they have another very bad homeless problem, probably worse than what we have here. But you know, just having some centralized place, you know, intake facility, rehab facility, social services facility. You know, they always talk about the wraparound services, but having some central, either what, you know, say like in San Diego County, you have a north and a south, or even a central intake facility where these people go in and get evaluated mentally, physically, financially, all these things. And then they are offered the services in that area, and they just have some place for them all to go. Like you encounter somebody that's new in town on the 5 in the Oceanside Boulevard here, and you say, okay, look, you know, this is what we're offering, and this is where we can take you for these types of things. If you're hungry, you're homeless, you need a wash up, 3D evaluation, ticket home, you know, whatever. But it has to be at like a county or state level. It just can't work, I don't think, at a city level like this. I mean, because now we have Vista that has facilities, you know, Carlsbad has facilities, but these people aren't going there. Why? I don't know. Well, I mean, I know why, because ultimately our biggest hurdle in dealing with all of this is them. You know, they just have to say yes, right? I mean, if they say no, what do you do? If they say no today to services, voucher program, what do you do? I mean, we're going to take your stuff. I mean, that's punitive. But we need it cleaned up. We need to come in here and, you know, power spray, wash, put new landscaping, whatever. Yeah. But then where do these people go? They go back to the riverbed, back up into the canyon where they're hidden. And yeah, nobody will see them, but they're still as destitute as they are now. But again, that's a personal choice, right? It comes down to personal choice.
It seems to me like I would take the opportunity to stay in a hotel for almost a month,
right?
Given it for free,
right?
And food,
and that's what
everything else.
Yeah, that's what I've told them. The people I've talked to as well. I said you need to take whatever they're offering you, take it and see what they can give you, because ultimately, I think the plan should be, even if you can't make a day-to-day plan, you know, your 6-month plan should be to get out of this tent and get onto a bed somewhere, you know, even if it's Motel 6 and they're scratchy sheets, you know. I mean, it's not the Taj Mahal, but it's better than, I would think, living in.
I would think so too.
Living in a tent, but, and I love camping, but, you know, I mean, this is obviously not just camping.
Right.
I mean, and I'm glad to see that there haven't been more people moved behind McDonald's. A lot of people thought right away that would be a 2-day cleanup, and then you'd have more tents set up back there.
Glad it's staying clean.
Yeah, we're happy about that. But then I know there's still a lot of people that are shifting to Vista sites. You know, I know there's somebody was saying there's another one over like Emerald and 78 or something like that also. But again, we're hoping that businesses don't, come back. Like they shut this whole place down. Starbucks, right? The lobby's not open. They're only taking orders through their app, and you can only pick it up through the drive-thru. You can't go inside. You know.
All the directors know.
Right. And
you grab that, Joe.
Excuse me, gentlemen.
oh, sorry. So again, I mean, we don't want our businesses affected either, because next thing you know, they're moving this Starbucks, you know, to someplace down the road, you know.
Even Gary, hey, I was.
You do what you have to do, Officer Malone.
Nice
Yeah,
meeting you.
nice to meet you as well. It's like, hey, you know,
Right.
it's, you know, obviously it's a very complex, you know,
Sure.
interesting subject. I mean, it
Right.
affects everybody in the city, not just the people
People
living
are
here, or
intrigued by
OPD, or you know, it affects the citizens as well, because in not only that, but even say like the tourist industry, you know, that we're trying to build here and
Sure.
stuff. And there's a lot of controversy on,
Right,
you know,
it's
both
super
sides.
complex.
You know, it's immensely complex, and there's no one real simple answer. I mean, you have the government trying to do the best they can, and then you have these guys who, you know,
Caught in the
have
middle.
free will and personal choice, and ultimately, that's our biggest hurdle in
Yes, is
dealing
free
with
will.
this.
Free will.
Is just saying, hey, we have this available to you.
Right, but the biggest challenge is their free will.
Right, they have to just say yes.
Yeah, but
Right.
that's the hardest thing.
Yeah,
Right.
hardest thing.
It's 3 letters, the hardest thing.
The hardest thing
right,
is that people
right.
are prideful, you know.
Oh yeah, no,
and
that will take so many of these people out.
so many. There's been interviews that I've done with people who've been on the streets for 10 or 15 years.
Sure, no, I don't
And,
know. I don't know.
It's an odd thing to do,
Like I
because
actually have done something.
right, it's an odd thing to do, especially initially, because you're not used to just going up to people on the street saying, "Hey, how you doing? What are you doing? You know, what's going on here?"
Well, I do.
Right?
I live in the middle of nowhere, so
But I'm just like,
most people don't.
most people
I'm sorry,
don't,
most
you
people
know. So to come down and then now inject yourself into a situation in which, you know, government's involved, police involved, fire's involved,
Oh, yeah.
you know, the hot team, and then these people who you more than likely just want to be left alone.
Right,
You know?
they just
But now they put themselves in a position where all eyes
they're
are on them.
Yeah,
you know?
they're right out exposed to everybody.
Yeah,
Their
I
asses
mean,
to
you're,
the wind.
yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of people trying to help, but
I just need to
It's-
go with, hey, I'm a genuine guy. I'm here for your good. Just go with my natural thing of
Right.
talking to them
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just not have the barrier of ask them. They're
Yeah.
open. Some do want to
You
share.
have to
They'll
be- and
say
you
no
have-
if they don't, and just be willing to ask. Like
Right,
it's
right.
just my fear of asking.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
literally like it's the stupidest thing because it's literally saying it's not going to be an object.
right. I mean, I had
Absolutely.
one guy that was over here camping behind CBS, Walter, this old guy, and he had his little RV, and he had this whole area camped up, like he'd been there a while, and I was just, you know, like you said, genuinely just talking to him, hey, how's it going, you know, you got need anything, you know, and then all of a sudden he's like, you know, it's illegal to film me, and this and that, and you know, I was like, well, you're in public, Walter. I'm like, you're literally sitting
Right.
on public land,
Yeah,
and that's why you're here.
I do have the right. Yeah.
Right? I mean, if you don't want to talk, that's fine.
Right.
You can ask me to leave,
Right.
and you know,
And I'll
I
probably
may
will,
or
but-
may not, you know, and but there's been some
You're a big
resistance.
guy. You're bigger
Well,
than
I
me,
mean,
so- Yeah.
I like to think people like to talk to me because of my charming personality,
No, you're a big
and you know.
teddy bear, but I'm saying that if they didn't talk to you, you're somebody that they're going to be less likely to say go fuck themselves at me.
Well,
They
that
can
may
do a
be
lot to
true
me.
as well. Yeah, that may be true as well.
But
but
if they don't say no to you, say
yeah, no, I hear you.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No,
You're
no,
a
I
teddy-
get
you are a
that.
teddy bear.
I get that a lot. I mean, even people where I work, they're like, "Well, we don't." Yeah, I'm like, "Well, look, I don't have a problem with that guy," you know. And they're like, "Well, you're 6'5" and 400 pounds. I mean, nobody's gonna say shit to you." I was
Right.
like, "Well,
You just have an intimidating stature. It's not even anything you're doing. It's,
Right.
If you really look at the demeanor, you're like, oh, that's reverse of what my stereotype would
the
be.
hardest thing is to be unbiased either way, right? You're like, look, I just want your perspective. I'm not bringing anybody else's perspective in
Right.
here to push on you, or my perspective necessarily to push on you. I have my own opinions
Right.
about it, but I just
trying
want
to
to
get
hear.
yours.
I just want to hear your story, because one of the biggest issues that we had was people online, Facebook, different things. They go by, they snap a picture, and then they're like, "This is what's going on," and they have no idea what's going on.
Right.
And they form their opinions based on a snapshot. Right. So if you go by and you take a picture of one of those tents that's cleaned up, and the little thing, and you're like, well, that's pretty clean. But then you go over here and you look at this, and it's not cleaned up.
Absolutely.
Completely different pictures,
So it's like
right?
you can't, it's like judging a book by its cover. It's like you
Right.
can't take a snapshot and see the whole thing. That's where
Right.
that's where I want to interview these people. Let's talk about what your circumstance. Literally, bro, I've thought of an idea. I mean, you can put it on camera if you want to on your YouTube thing. I've thought of an idea. It's a big comprehensive facility that literally they build out. It's like Job Corps. It's
Yeah.
not that they get to build it out. They have to build it out. So there's pride of ownership. Every trade that they need, cement mason, framing, roofer, electric, plumbing, landscaping, culinary. You
Yeah.
gotta feed the people.
Yeah.
We bring trainers in that are out of work or whatever. We give them a nominal salary, a minimal salary, or they volunteer. They train the people who have more wherewithal
Yeah.
to actually come in and be the instructors. They get to leave after.
No, that
I thought of it, and everybody is on board with it.
It sounds like a great idea. Again,
The problem is
you
the
need-
politicians.
well, look, even if you build, again,
The rich people are on board, bro.
well, look, this is the issue. We throw billions of dollars at this issue.
5.6.
Right.
Or 6.5 per year
There,
nationally.
there's a lot of money being pumped into what some call
Triple
the
H here.
homeless industrial complex.
Yes, it is.
Right.
It has become.
Right, it has become that. So
Yep.
you can give them as much money as you want.
Money won't solve it.
You can build anything you like, but until these people say, "Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. I'd love to participate."
And that's my
Nothing's
thing.
gonna happen.
Multiple facilities where if you want to do drugs, yes, you get to live in a tent. We'll come and give you services.
I was just
But
talking to one of the, Officer Malone down here about the same thing. A kind of it can't happen at a city level.
No,
we
it's
don't
gotta
have
happen
the
county or,
we
or
don't have
statewide.
we don't have the resources here.
No, it's one city. That's what like North County seems to be incorporating all North County. At least.
Even if
At
all of
least.
these people go in for the 3-week stay at the hotel, it's over $500,000.
Oh, if you just allocated that money better spent, oh my God, you could do so much with it. So much
It's over
with it.
$500,000
I
just for a
figured that each of
3-week
my
stay at the
facilities
hotel.
are somewhere between $100 and $250 million.
Right.
But you're talking, you could build 5 of those things for $1 billion.
Right.
That's 20%, 15
I don't
to
know
20%.
that you can do it here in California, only because
Well, mine are going to be in rural. Yes, I have thought Texas, Carolina, Illinois. You want them kind of thing, and you want advanced training, just like Job Corps is.
Yeah.
So the one out in Fresno is going to be advanced training to agriculture. You're going to learn about farming.
Right.
You're going to learn about farming equipment and stuff like that. You can't get them elsewhere, but you're going to have all your rehab
but then
training.
you need all the other what they call wraparound services, you know.
Yes. Well, you
So
first go in
need-
with your support in your
you
trauma,
need the support first, right?
all that stuff.
You need psychosocial stuff, financial
And
stuff.
We figure out, like, are you lacking in education and stuff?
Sure.
We fill those gaps. We do aptitude tests. What are you good at? What do you like? Let's put you in something that you're going to enjoy, for
Right.
Christ's sake.
The Rodney, who's the kind of de facto head guy here.
Right, gotcha. Why did they write that over there?
Anyway, he kind of backs the trauma-informed care model, which I was reading up on the other night because I had not heard about
is
it. It's a model. It's basically a model to have bureaucracies that are supposed to be helping these people or businesses or whatever.
They're just traumatizing with their
Well,
practices. Like this.
when I first read the article from Colorado University, my first thought about it was because the first tenet is that everybody has trauma.
No, that's not true.
Well, this is what I'm telling
Right,
you.
no,
that
I'm saying-
and everybody in this population probably does.
Right, it's
Okay.
a high percent.
But the first tenet behind trauma-informed care in adjusting a bureaucratic system to help these people is they have to think everybody has trauma.
So it's a complete victim mindset.
Well, and
In a way.
that's what I thought.
Right,
It's
that's
like
a
you have
pushback
to
is-
you have to say
I'm trying to empower you, not
Right.
tell you you're a fucking victim for the rest of your
Right.
life, because that does nothing for you.
Yeah.
Right,
And that's
okay, I'm with
and then I read a couple other things, and
Mindset.
there's different steps
Levels
to it.
and-
It's just recognizing that anything you can do can trigger somebody's trauma. You know,
so
stuff
we're
like
supposed
that.
to walk around on eggshells for
Well-
everybody because the world is going to do that for them.
But then again,
Okay.
how do you?
I mean, it's idealistic. It's nice if we could do that. I would love to do that, but it's not based in
I
reality.
don't think that's
of
reality. I don't
people
think. I don't.
have free will, and humans
Right.
have free will, and some choose to do bad stuff, and that's just part of it. And you got to try to nurture and help them rather than reprimanding. I don't see that condemning or reprimanding really does very much.
Yeah.
It doesn't work in the incarceration system. It
Right.
doesn't work.
I mean,
either
it's
way.
a failed system either way you
Go
look
with
at
rehab.
it.
I mean, literally, we're still using medieval Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves stuff. I mean, we're not cutting off people's hands, but it's
Sure.
those type of primitive tactics rather than, wait a second, we've developed our mental health system and all this stuff. Let's go with rehabilitation.
Right.
They got in prison because they didn't have the skills to stay out for Jesus
Right,
Christ.
right.
Let's
Or they
give it
learned
to
the
'em.
skills in prison.
They become
to
more
stay in the criminal
yes,
system.
like I know how to become a criminal in prison, but I don't know how to stay out of prison.
Right.
In prison.
Yeah, there's no rehab in prison.
It's completely ass backwards.
Yeah.
But I'm one that's like, I'm for decriminalizing, but I'm not for legalizing.
Right. Oh,
I'm for-
okay.
So what Portugal did was they legalized everything. I'm not for that because we're America with freedoms. In Portugal, where they got more authoritarian, great, it might work.
Right.
But where we have it, no, we need to not legalize it because then it just gives carte blanche that they can do whatever.
Yeah.
But you decriminalize it while you put in better practices.
Sure.
Like Portugal did of putting the money from incarceration into rehabilitation.
Right.
90% get clean because they want that opportunity.
I got you.
They want a legit opportunity. They don't want this bullshit that, oh, I gotta go in the shelter and I could get stabbed. I mean, I've lived in a shelter. They are
They're
scary
not some
places.
places you want to go.
Right.
Yeah.
Or I can't
I
bring
mean,
my
it's as bad as living out here.
worse sometimes because you're
'Cause you have
you're
nowhere to
locked
go.
in. And there's people that exploit them. There are
Of course,
shelters
of
that
course.
are corrupt as hell, and they're doing drug deals. They're bringing the drug deals in, just like some of the prisons
Right.
do. Not all of them, but
Yeah.
it does happen. You know, and like people need to be real about this. Like you can't solve things until you're real about what the problem is, because then you're going to be solving a problem that is not based in reality. And like, why would I want to do that? This isn't a fairy tale or some science fiction thing.
Yeah.
This is bloody reality.
Yeah,
here.
this is real life. No, and that's another reason that I want to come down and say, look, you can go by and you take a snapshot all you want, but you're not getting
You can
a
get
real
million different
good
opinions
picture
on what that photo
about
is.
what that means,
Yeah.
right? But you know, some people already have their opinions formed, and that's fine. And I present it in a way, I hope, that
least-
it's just information.
Right.
You know, you
Opens
hear
up their
them.
mind and maybe there's another possibility out there.
Right. You hear them, you see them, and whether it, you have the ability to take that information in and use it in any which way you want, you know. And then your opinions are your opinions.
I
can't.
think everybody should be invalid to them. It's like, don't try and dismiss somebody else's opinion. I mean, I agree with you, but it's like that. I agree to disagree. Like,
Right.
I'm
There's
still
some
agreeing.
ladies that come down here that try and help people. They've taken people in their homes. They've
okay.
tried to help them get jobs and things like that. But they're like, you need to clean this up, right? I'll help in any way I can, in any fashion I can, and on an individual level or otherwise. But I still want all this stuff cleaned up. And then there are other people who are like, clean it up because I got people pooping in my yard, you know,
Yeah, and
or
those are all
dumping
real-
trash,
Those are all real problems, but
or having sex, or prostitution, you know. But then I hear also through a couple of videos I've done with either serial rapists, serial rapists and child sex trafficking, things like that. And I'm like,
they're exploiting.
then
the
how,
girls.
like, if you know about these things in the dark side of what you know is happening
Right, and it is.
in the tents or in the bushes or
Yes,
whatever,
Yes.
you have to tell somebody. You have
Yeah.
a moral obligation to tell
Yes,
somebody. And if the
absolutely.
OPD doesn't know about it, how are they going to go help those families, help those children, or help those women or men, however it
Yeah,
may be,
It could happen.
being
yes.
exploited by other people,
Yeah.
right? So
No, and
I've heard some stories in.
That's why I'm not for legalizing it. If we just legalize it, then it gives carte blanche for bad people to do stuff. If we
Yeah.
decriminalize it, then it's like, hey, people that aren't committing crimes, you get to stay, and we're just going to go after the ones that are really causing
Right,
the problem. It would bode well for the people
Of
that,
course.
that aren't doing stuff, because it's like, now we get to stay, and it's just the 2 or 3 people that are running amok, don't have the ability to kick us out of where we're
Right. I mean,
we're actually
if
being respectful,
OPD's
'cause I
down
see a
here.
lot of sweeping up and doing stuff to where it's like, I'm trying to be as good as I can
Well-
with the shitty hand I'm dealt, but I'm not going to make it worse. And I find people go, you know what? I respect you for doing what you want. I'm not going to make your situation worse.
Right.
I can't make it better, but I won't make it worse. I'm just going to kind of turn a blind eye and pray for you.
Right. Well, and that's what I tell a lot. I try to tell everybody I talk to in these videos that you just have to be. If everybody was a good steward to their community, I think a lot less people would have an issue with it. If you came by and all of that cardboard and trash and stuff that was piled up there wasn't there, and your tents were neat and clean and orderly, and everybody was doing their
People
part.
wouldn't complain
and
to
they
the mayor
weren't-
that comes down to this to
well,
do something.
and they weren't attacking people in Starbucks and
It does happen, yes.
and having businesses closed down. People would have a lot less problems with it.
Absolutely.
But you have that that element of Rodney said it himself, the dark side of this community. And what he's attempting was to separate themselves from that.
Right.
By
It's in
putting
their- it's
themselves
in their
out
best
here
interest.
in the open and saying, look, here we are, but look, we don't have anywhere to go.
Right.
But, we're here.
Yeah.
So, I hope that this goes very smoothly. I hope, in my heart of hearts, I hope everybody gets the help that they need, the assistance that they need, and everybody comes to that bridge in their life that they have to cross to get to the other side and say yes, the yes bridge. Let's call it that, right?
Hey, my mentor is Scott Silverman. He's on the news all the time. Tell me no, I dare you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He preaches, find your yes.
Yeah.
And that's what they need
That's
to do.
it.
Find their yes.
I love that. I mean, I've had to come to a few bridges like that in my life, And
I was homeless and addicted to pills for 15 years. I had
that
Crohn's
right?
disease and a bunch of medical stuff.
Yeah. I get
The
you.
world will tell you a lot of no's.
Yeah.
And you just gotta keep fighting your
Well,
yes
the world
somehow.
gives you situations in which you're just pushing back, I mean, yes, you have free will, you have conscious decision making, but, situations cloud that, that ability to make the proper decision, whether it be drugs or emotional problems or family problems, financial problems, different things like that. But you still have to find it in here in your gut and your heart to say the best thing for me to do is this. Yeah,
end up
I mean
being
that's
some-
what, and that's the issue is that that when you get down to the state or the city level, it's all half measures. It's all
Very hard,
band-aids,
Very hard. It
right?
needs to be county or state,
Yeah.
or nationally. It
It's
needs
all-
to be a
yeah.
nationalized thing.
It's all band-aids, from
minimum,
these
a
little 3-week hotel voucher programs. 3 weeks is going to be nothing for these. I mean, it'll be enough to get them off the
I've
street.
talked to homeless people that got the 6-month stuff. They've gone through it. They're back in there.
Right.
It doesn't do anything because there's no program.
There's no
what is
place
that
to go
actually
after
doing
that.
to help
Yeah.
you? It's getting you off the streets, but what is that doing to get you off the streets
Well,
permanently?
see,
Nothing. It does
that's
nothing.
that's sort of kind of where the
A lot of them just
where-
do drugs and stuff in there. I mean, that's
Right.
the honest truth.
Well,
and that
and-
sucks,
and-
but it's like, what did you expect? You didn't give them any tools to not
Right.
do that. It's the same thing we do in the prison
they're not
system. And
they're
that's
not
it.
fixing anybody
You're
in
not
there.
fixing everybody.
And
You're making the situation look better, and you feel better at night, and you can lay your head better. But the situation is going to come back, and it's going
right.
to come back with a
There's some
fury.
contradictory kind of expectations that come of these things. You have this Rodney with his trauma-informed care program, which basically says these people need, on average, a year in high intensive therapy.
I kind of designed 3 to 6 months.
Okay, but
could be a long
and then you have programs like this that say, look, we're going to be 3 weeks.
They got to get with it because it's like I go up to LA. Whew, San Diego's going to be the next LA. I mean, it's on
Yeah.
every go
Yeah,
the
I've
one-
not gone up there.
Go the 110 freeway from Anaheim Street, PCH, all
Yeah.
the way to downtown.
Is that right?
Lined with tents along there, right?
I mean, you
Go
see
to-
it at every on-ramp, off-ramp.
I'll show you some footage. I got footage of Skid Row, and,
Is that right?
and it's
Well, I've
just,
seen, I don't know, you ever see, there's a guy, Fleccas Talks.
Fleccas.
He's a big guy like me, but he goes around doing interviews and stuff on the street as
I
well.
think I met him actually
Oh, you did?
downtown one time, maybe.
He did, he did a video down there, which was crazy.
I watched German in Venice. Have you ever seen him? And then,
Venice is crazy as
yeah,
well,
German
right?
in Venice. Check him out. He's
German
really good.
in
He-
Venice,
Yeah,
okay.
he does a lot of homeless. He does other stuff too, but he actually, like, if you've ever seen like a shot of Venice and it's got like henna tattoo and it's like a yellow building,
okay.
that's his.
Okay.
He just happened to.
German in Venice.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that came back out in the 80s, wanted to be,
Right.
a movie star, and now you got the social media thing, and so he's
Really?
like, yeah, I'm gonna, and homeless videos, or Mark Horvath with Invisible People.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
He just does basically interviews. There was another one that I recently did, and all their pictures, their thumbnails are all black and white. It's
Okay.
really cool. It's just a picture of a.
It's interesting to hear different perspectives. I mean, just meeting you today. I mean, that was totally serendipitous that we're standing here, and you have your own story, your own perspective, where you're coming from, and it's from a perspective that some of these people are coming from, right? I mean,
well, I've been there,
and that's where the
so
sympathy.
it's that, and I've talked to these people, and I've talked to the community. I've tried to find that middle ground of how can we not talk over, and how can we find solutions that help these people the way they really want to be helped, that the community would be on
Sure.
board with. Hey, these are actual solutions. Let's merge that, because these aren't unsolvable problems.
Right. They're not
Addiction,
unsolvable
mental health
problems, right.
might be unsolvable. It says science has not come up with it with it yet, but it
Right.
may one
Yeah.
day. It hasn't. But homelessness, unshelteredness, completely solvable. Not
Right.
completely, but
Yeah, you could reduce it quite a bit, right?
drastically, 90,
Yeah, drastically.
95%.
But
I mean, to the
then
point where it's like,
you
it's
come-
almost not a
you
problem.
come at the other, the opposite direction, and you see, say like these young people that are sitting on the curb over there, right? I mean, what are they doing? Like, did they finish school? Did they not finish school?
Right.
Do they want to go back to school? Do they have any viable
That's where
skills?
I'm trying to do the aptitude and stuff, see what
Right.
they want to do.
So people go by and they see young, seemingly able-bodied people on the corner, and you're like, well, what are you doing?
What's
Like,
your excuse?
some of them say we'll work for food, or maybe I saw a guy at not Point Stadia, but La Costa
Okay.
and the 5, and get off there, and he's got two signs actually that basically listed his resume.
Nice.
Right?
I like those.
But he's sitting laying on the ground playing the guitar,
It's not a good
right?
look,
That's
yeah.
not how you
Right,
go about
right.
getting a job. I mean,
No.
there are some stories of people who are like that, but guess what? They're standing there in whatever their best clothes are. They're standing up straight. They're looking people
Right,
in the eye,
right.
and they're saying, "Look, I need a freaking job."
Right.
They're not laying down on the ground
Right,
playing
right.
a guitar, right?
Your
And
optics
then,
are totally contrary to
right.
what your sign says. Your
So
sign
that's
says one
where
thing
the
and you're not doing
sympathy and the empathy come in, right? You see these people.
If you
and
want it, do what it takes.
You got to get up and do it, and that's what I was telling Officer Malone. I was like, "There's something stopping these people from making a plan. You and I have a plan. Tomorrow I know what I'm going to be doing. I know that at some point next week I'm doing the same thing.
They
Or
become lost. There is
They
no
do.
guidance. There's no structure in their life. This is my biggest thing. There's no purpose.
Yeah.
That's ultimately
And
what I would love to give
it
people in
speaks
the
to
facility.
your
is
idea
purpose.
about the purpose,
Like,
right?
I'd like to get you off the street. I'd like to heal you up physically and everything.
Right.
But if I can give you that inner purpose, at some point, I'm going to be a constraint on you, because you're going to take over and your wings are going to fly, and it's going to
Right.
be like the mother bird.
You're going to be like,
I'm
"Thanks,
good.
I got to go."
know you're good. I can leave with a good feeling that
Yeah.
you have all the tools. You know where to go if anything happens. Like, you are self-sufficient as
Right.
much as you
So
can be.
unfortunately, I don't
stuff,
know.
but it's gonna be all
Unfortunately,
individual.
obviously, the state's program, which is the Housing First model, doesn't really address anything beyond getting a
Just getting
house
them unsheltered.
over their head, whether it be a temporary shelter or a tiny
And
home.
most need something. Most are lacking in education,
Yeah.
or they've had some trauma, or they got a mental illness,
Right.
or they got a drug addiction. If you don't treat those underlying things,
Of course.
you're doomed
Well,
to
and
never be successful.
I know there's other programs here in town, and in particular Solutions for Change, that addresses that kind of thing with their model of
Good.
work to housing kind of model, where they sign contracts with these people. You have to be drug
have to,
free.
right,
You have to be
right,
alcohol
right.
free. You have
gotta
to
be
have
some
supportive
regulations.
services.
Yes.
You have to be willing to go to those appointments. And then, you get a job, you get a house. We'll teach you how to be a successful human, whether it be through
And I don't know
your
why they don't choose
mental
it.
and social services, and then teaching you how, as little as, what we don't teach you in grade school about, balancing the checkbook or getting a freaking bank account
financial
or shit like that,
independent, like We need to do way more economics. It was civics and economics.
Yeah,
I don't think
yeah.
people know a lot about civics. They don't know a lot
Yeah,
about how
yeah.
the government actually works.
Right.
They know how to be politically
Well, everybody has a
active, but it's
political
like when you
opinion,
start
right.
getting into the real issue, it's
Right.
like they don't know about the real issue. They
No.
know how to be emotional.
It all boils down to people saying yes to what we have to offer. I mean, if you're going to
Willingness
be this, if you're going to be this independent person, but not have the skills, not have the ambition, not have the gumption to say yes, I need this, then nothing we offer is ever going to be good enough. It doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
So we can
Willingness-
throw as much money at it as we want. It's
No,
not going to
money
go away.
alone, yeah, you gotta have a good idea, but it needs money, but money won't make a good idea.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I
But
mean,
really-
believe me, there are plenty of people that are poo-pooing the whole housing first model, and even Rodney said the other day, you're moving us from the tent into a box,
Right.
out
not
of
really
sight,
that much
out of
better.
mind,
Yes.
and you're asking us not to try and kill ourselves,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you have people who are traumatized, and again,
That could
I have to
happen.
assume,
Yeah.
in Rodney's model, everybody here is traumatized, and they're all self-medicating in some fashion,
It could be
whether it be food or drugs or alcohol or whatever.
I hate absolutes, but they are probably disproportionately high to the
Yeah,
normal
no,
society.
I get you.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutes are generalizations, and absolutes definitely probably
Very rarely, actually.
Yeah. So now you're putting them for 3 weeks. Now they do have some supervision, occasional look-sees to say, hey, you're keeping your room clean. I mean, there's an interview with a girl down here the other day. I saw a video. I think it was UT that did it. But she's like, look, if I have to go from here into a thing, and then I have to be a good girl on their in what they call a good girl,
Right.
then I have to live with somebody else, then I don't want to go and get a voucher.
Yeah, no,
right?
and I get that. I don't think it's the right choice. It might not be what I do, but I
Right.
totally understand where they make that call,
Sure,
and I'm not
sure.
going to judge them.
Oh, well, this is interesting. They're just coming out to paint this. Rodney apparently doesn't have, or has some haters apparently. Rodney is a punk, fuck little bitch. They spelled punk wrong.